Hello and welcome to part one of Last Open Water. This is Last Open Water B because I've done it before. Today I'm working on a 12 by 16. I think the last one was a smaller 9 by 12. And I just wanted to see if I could do it bigger. It's a nice dramatic design, bright light, and warm colors. So that's what motivated me to do another one. So, winter is coming on, so it's kind of like the season to get ready to catch some bright winter light. It's important to keep painting. The part that I provide to you is only one small part of your painting experience that you need to, I think, be involved with. And that I challenge you to paint regularly and have instructional painting. As you can see, I run into a lot of structural problems, how I solve them. You know, I speak out loud, I'm using my brush, and I'm going through all these techniques on how to solve these many issues that you have by preparing you when you go outside and do some plein air painting, because that's the best place to learn. Now, in the wintertime, the only thing we have here, which is very exciting for me, is we do portraits on Thursday nights, and I love portrait, and challenging my brain to say, okay, here's real, and how to interpret that on a 2D surface. So all that stuff is really important. So keep painting. Paint with your friends, paint outside whenever you can, get critiques, and keep painting from life. All right, let's get into part one. Hello and welcome to part one of Last Open Water B. I'm saying it's B because I did one a long time ago, a much smaller one, and I want to do a 12 by 16. So I think the first one was a success, so I hope the second one will be even better. So we're going into winter, and the water's starting to freeze around here, at least on the lakes. And it's time to start thinking about some bright sunny days. And this will get us in the mood. I've got my paints all laid out. I've got my tools. I think today I'm going to be using looks like an old flat number 6 rosemary. This thing is so worn out. I don't know if it was a flat or a filbert, but it's all worn down. And this one is a number 2 rosemary flat. Still has a nice edge to it. All right, so I've got my image, and I am going to be looking at trying to get this in the shapes in the right place on this canvas. Shapes is big deal, this part of the painting. So with that, what I want to do is say, can I figure out a foundation line? And I think what I can do is that the foundation line is going to be this area where we have the difference between the shadow and the trees with all this bright down here. I think that foundation line is a little above center. So that's what I'll be working on. All right, let me get some of this stuff out of the way and start mixing. So I'm going to start mixing, I think, with a warm today. So it's going to be yellow ochre, transparent oxide red. There's a lot of worms in this reference today. All right. So I've got some solvent mixed up here. This is Gamsol. And I'm going to make a foundation line above center. So I shall measure it. So I've got this to here. What? Here is my... going to have to go a little higher maybe. All right, there we go. I don't know, it's got to be one of those guys. Now, I also have a bank that comes off of here and comes out, comes back. And I'll bring it out into here. And here I'm going to have a bank that comes down to this point, but also seems to go up into here. It's kind of a angle to it. And then there's another, erase this line. And then there's another bunch of trees back in here, and then a bunch of trees that come off this way. So this is going to be a bunch of trees. I'm working on something different today. This product is from Jerry's Artorama. It's a linen, and it's a 7/12/16. I think the brand name is Senso, S-E-N-S-O. Anyway, it feels pretty good. I've done some portraits on it. Feels good. I still love to do portraits. And then over here, kind of change that shape here a little bit. It's a big dark right here, big dark right here. Might make this bank a little taller. Boy, it erases well too on this linen. And there's shadows that come down from here. And then big darks up in here. I think they almost touch in a few places. So this will be tree in here, tree in here. Now, I think where I want you to take some liberty is changing the shape of the water course. The fastest moving water is the last to be frozen in the center, or wherever the fastest moving water is. And that gives us an opportunity to make a nice abstract design. So I'm going to work on that next. So what I'm going to do is mix some blue, ultra, and some brown, transparent oxide red. Actually, I'm going to mix some Viridian in it. Here we go. Mix that Viridian off to the edge. And I'm weakening it now with some turp. And for the sake of not trying to get too much in the camera, oh, that's a little sloppy. I'm trying to come up with some sort of design here. And I'm trying to come up with something that might be interesting. And here we go. That was pretty sloppy back there. Let me get more defined with it. So I will just come off of here with and we'll put some dark here. And this will be open water. Let me get back and take a look at this design. Good, okay. I think for now that could work. Let me see if I could fix this a little bit, kind of get some jagged ends on it, as you can see. So it'll be wider here because it's right underneath your feet, and thinner as it goes back. All right, so now let's mix some transparent oxide red over here in this darker mixture. And I see here some real good warm darks. Get some yellow ochre in there too. Right up in here. I could probably use to a bigger brush now. I know there's a good dark over in here too. And here is more dark. Got some sky holes in here now. And over here, I think we're going to go a little lighter over in this area. So I went over to the more yellow ochre, transparent oxide red. Added a little terp. These are kind of thin underwashes. Kind of making this up as I go, these shapes here. But I know they get pretty close. And it gets a little darker over here. I think what I like about linen, it just flows on, the paint flows on nicely. Feels good. And I'm going to add some yellow to this. So I'm going to add some, what is this? Hansa yellow medium, I think. Hansa yellow medium for back in here. And I'll put some up in here too. Nope, too much. Okay. Now I think there's some more important things going on here, and that's on the banks here. I think these trees come down here a little bit into this bank. And there's also some nice, dried up, under rocks where the snow is melted or never got to. So I'm putting these little designs of all kind of stuff I see along the bank here. And I'm going to get some darker stuff in a few places just to accent it. And I'm going to go really dark over in here, I think. Where stuff comes off the bank. And get a little darker. Okay, so far things seem to be going pretty good. So let me get back and move to a bigger brush and start filling in this canvas. So what I want to move into now is getting this canvas covered with a value color. And a value color is nothing more than a color and a value. So let's see if they're going to be a bright green or a dark green. Dark green would have more blue. Light green would have more yellow. Or, vice versa. I think there's some really nice shadows coming across here too, and I'm going to emphasize that. I don't know if this is the right part of the painting to do that. I think what I really want to try to do now is get these shapes in, these big shapes in, with a pretty good value. So let's go back to yellow ochre, transparent oxide red. And on one side we're going to go more yellow. And on the other side I'm going to get more brown and more blue. Right that way. I think that might be a pretty good way to start. Okay, one more, take a good look to see if I need to change a shape. This might be a little too simplistic in here, this Z, but let me see if that really bothers me as I go through this and lay more color on. So I'm going to step up to a number 6 rosemary long flat. Okay. So I'm going to go into this yellow ochre transparent oxide red and start working in the areas that need it. I think we have to get a little bit more red in there. So I'm going to go yellow ochre, transparent oxide red, and a little alizarin, just a touch of alizarin. Alizarin, just a touch, just a touch. Ooh, that's a pretty color. Oh, that alizarin in that mixture made it very nice. Okay. Let's go over to the other side. Now let's stay on this side of the trees here, and we'll get some of the lighter end of this mixture and move that in. And I can make this even lighter. And I'll use some of this over in here too. Let's go back to a darker mixture here. Blue, brown. Well, I may have lost some of my pretty colors, darn it. Let me go back to see if I can get some of that red back in here. Yellow ochre, alizarin, too much alizarin. All right, let's get over here with it. How am I doing on time? Gotta keep moving. Okay, let's go to the dark stuff. Now, I know you see sky holes in here, and we'll get those later. But already this bank looks to be a little closer than the other bank, and I think that in actuality is what's happening. We also need some darks on the top of the bank over here. So let's get some blue and mix it into this darker mixture. And here's the top of the bank over here. And then we have shadow down here. Okay. Ooh, this is coming along pretty good. We're moving quickly. All right, we need some, I think, more red. I know there's a building or something back there now. If I put that in, I'll get it in later. And then we need some light above that, which would be right in here. And I think this is going to be really light here. I just put a little bit of bismuth yellow in that lighter mixture. And that is the trick for back here. I don't know, I see some back mountains back there. So that would be probably, look like this. Boy, that sure shows up, doesn't it? Whew. Let me clean some of these brushes. All right. I'm going to pick all this up. I need mixing area. So, here we go. Getting ready for the lights and the blues. Oh darn it, I messed up one of my brushes. Stuck it in one of the piles here of gray. All right, now I'm ready for shadow design. So we'll work on sky and shadow design next. So let's get some cobalt and white. Cobalt and white. Add some ultra. Oh, that's too dark. And it looks like I've got some royal blue here. I'll just throw that in for good measure. Okay. All right, this is for shadows and sky. Let's get this brush out of the way. I don't see too much contamination in my brush, but you never know until you put it on the canvas. So I'm going to have two angles, one coming down at a 45, and then they're going to be coming across like this. And in here, we're going to have some dapple shadow coming through the trees. And maybe some on a far bank. Oh, this is starting to make some sense. And I think some of this is going to come right across the river. And for good measure, I think we have some down in here coming across this way. I'm going to break out some phthalo if I can find it. Phthalo blue. And I'm going to get that out here and get one of these really pretty skies going in here with. So we're going to mix some phthalo, a little bit of iridium, and put that up in here. and work on some Viridian a little bit lower. Let me clean this brush out. Viridian, Viridian, Viridian. Here we go. And transition it here a little bit. I think that's pretty good for starters. And now, let's mix some really, really thin Viridian for our bright. Because I see a lot of that down in here. Let me get this smaller brush up in this area, right up in here. And work on that. Ooh, this is tight work in here. All right, because I'm running a little short on time, I think you can kind of figure out what to do over here by using that stuff. All right, so let's get over to the other side of the bank and make it warmer. So let's do white, transparent oxide red, a little bit of bismuth yellow, and make it warmer. And I'll be doing that over on this side. Yes, you're going to have some homework to do out there. You have to fill that in. So just a little bit warmer. Now for the water, let's mix up some cobalt, Viridian, a little bit of yellow ochre. Hope I made enough. And let's do the water with that. We just need more Viridian in this thing. Give it a little bit of oomph. It's funny, Viridian added to white can be so bright, but Viridian itself can be so dark. But it's a exotic green. Or your sap greens and stuff like that. When you make a yellow ochre and a blue, it's more like a sap green. And a Viridian is just like, I want to describe jungles. All right, that brings us up to time. So I will be filling in right here with these whites that we mixed, which has a little bit of Viridian in it. And over here you have a little bit more warm colors, a little bit of transparent oxide yellow, a little bit of bismuth yellow, a little bit. And I'll be filling that in off screen. And then we will have a block in. So that's your homework tonight. Get that done. And then we'll get started on part 2 tomorrow. All right. Thanks for coming by.